Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, we're going through the West Coast Eagles Western Bulldogs game in which Western Bulldogs got their first win of the year, 44-36. So they ran out 8-point winners. Another really good tip for me, as I think some people just generally tip on in terms of the ladder, or that's very similar to how a lot of people tip at this point of the year, just being like, yep, they've played enough teams that therefore they're going to be better this week, etc. And yeah, so getting this tip right was huge, and I think it jumped me back into contention alongside that Sydney tip got me so far up the table. It basically cleared me of everyone. It basically cleared me a whole tip up the table compared to everyone else. So I think I gained somewhere out of a possible 34 tips, 34 positions in that tip alone. I gained somewhere around 30, 31, as just shows how few people actually tip the Swans over the Collingwood. But we'll get to that game. That game's actually on the Wednesday, so we'll get to that on the Wednesday. But anyway, before we get into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, especially given that there are some plans just in the workings, just in the sort of start of the workings about some draft, mock drafts, etc. and stuff like that. And so yeah, remember to put the notification bell on so you know when I actually upload, especially those videos. So anyway, let's get into the video. So as you can see here, 36-44, Bulldogs got on top of the West Coast Eagles, and it was Swanson who starred. And looking back on it now, Swanson probably was the go. Get Swanson in this position here that I have Hurley now instead of Ham. I think I would still be able to get Stannett, and then honestly, I think it was, I don't know if I could get Kelly. Maybe it was Walker, Swanson, and Kelly that was the best option this week. But, and that would have pretty much put me at a maxed out team, and then I would have been changing Tani Evans around, or Presparkis around to someone huge. Yeah, probably Presparkis around to like a huge mid. But you make mistakes, and yeah, that Montana Ham mistake was huge, and I would have been able to get Bowers instead of Presparkis if in the last round if I was to do that. But I mean, that mistake sort of was a bad one. So yeah, Swanson 28, 7 and 7 for a 1-2-1. She started off early, and yeah, just continued on pretty much. And yeah, that I pretty much knew once Swanson got off to a good start that my trays were horrible this round. Even though I did get Frederick and Stannett, who were two of the top scoring on their lines, I just messed up my whole plan. I realised that I messed up the whole this week's trades by the time that Swanson had done her job, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to get anyone really significant, especially after Ham. Her last three quarters didn't go too well. So we saw Swanson 1-2-1, Roberts 27-5 and 5, and got to 102, which was a fair effort from her as well. I think she did really well in the third quarter to get there. Thomas 83 as well, somehow kicked a goal. Don't know how. Don't think I watched this game terribly much, as there was some other game I believe I was watching. Was this this might have been the time that the cricket was on, so I might have been watching that over this game, which is probably not the best for the channel, but I thought that was, I sort of was popping in and out of this game on the laptop while watching the cricket on the TV. But, so yeah, Thomas, 83, don't know how she kicked the goal, but she kicked a goal, which is good for fancy points. 83 is a really good effort from her, and she's been one of the best selections this year, and just holding her through the muck and just being like, nope, she's going to get good. There are reasons why she didn't score in that first round, that 36, and we went, oof. But ever since then, I mean, she is the top scoring defender, I believe now, on averages wise. Is she top and clear? Nope, Stannett is just clear of her, and that is solely off the back of that first game where Stannett cleared her by 61 points, which is 6 average, or almost 7 average now looking back on it. But you can just see that first game, and you see that 36. Outside of that, her lowest game is a 58, then a 65, then a 68, whereas Stannett had that one big game, and like that of Thomas has sort of had that 54, hasn't really had that 36, which has shocked the system with Thomas. But anyway, Lewis 17, 1 goal, 77. Smith 18 for a 68 was a fair effort. Rowley 18 for a 65. McCarthy 13 for a 54. Gibson, 2 goals for 52, and this is where Hooker has been a really surprise one because I thought she'd have that midfield role. I thought she had it last year. If I just duplicate this, and then we go to AFLW, and we go to CBAs from Season 7, I believe she had a midfield role last year. If we go to West Coast here, we go to Season 7, and you can see here, Season 7, I thought Hooker had she had a fair enough role. I mean, it wasn't outstanding, but 28% CBAs is there. But obviously you had Swanson coming huge numbers each week, Lackey, McCarthy and Lewis. And now if we look at that Season 8, you will see, I think, a difference. I mean, Lewis is still there, but 11% in round 8. We don't have the round 9 numbers yet. McCarthy is still up there. Wake for the Ruckman is up there. Lackey obviously dropped off. And then you have Smith as well doing some numbers. And then I think Roberts will have a huge number, like 80 or 90% this week, to be honest. And then, yeah, just nothing else. Don't know why Thomas had one CBA in that week. Yeah. But anyway, but Hooker hasn't had numbers this year, I don't believe, if we look back at it. Where is her numbers here? You can see here her numbers, 27% in that 1 week, but had 8% in another week. But her CBA numbers have dropped off significantly. And if we look at that, when was that round that she did it? Round 2 that she did it, and round 6 she had some form of scoring. And if we look at, where is she now? Have I just missed her? Yes, I have. Hooker here. You will see her round 2 performance. She dropped a 57, so wasn't that good. And around 6, she dropped an 80, which was her second highest scoring. So it's really weird. Her scoring doesn't correlate that well to CBAs, which is definitely a weird one. Gooch, 43, Franklin, 39, Davidson, Bartlett, and then Hartel, the rookie that I said would do really well, got a 27, which isn't the greatest. Then we move over to the Western Bulldogs side of things, and you will see that they smoked him in terms of the fantasy output for the game. High mark game, which does help with the both getting the marks, as well as I think it was an increased disposal game. And then the tackles wasn't terribly bad. And yeah, just Blackburn 32, 9 and 4 behind as well to get to a 1-3-3 is ridiculous. Edmonds with the 13, 5 tackles as well really does help the non-disposal fantasy points to clock up, as well as the goal there to get to an 87 off only 28 hitouts is a fair effort. Fitzgerald 14, 3 and 9 for an 82. Newton 21, 5 and 2 for a 79. Georgie Stathis 16 touches. The 4 and 5 is a good output as well for a 72. Those 4 and 5 gets you to 32 points. To get to the 72 is a fair effort for non-disposals. Obviously does have the -3 from the free kick against, which gets her down to a 29 points non-disposal wise for a 72. Kirsty Lamb as well, 4 and 4 does help a lot as well. Like I was saying with Georgie Stathis, anywhere where you can get 8+ in the men's game between marks and tackles is good. But so 9 for Georgie Stathis and 8 for Kirsty Lamb did really well. Bateman 3 and 2 for a 66. Grant 6 and 3 does help that 9 there. Carruthers 2 and 5 for a 57. Just none. That's the problem with a lot of these. If you look at the difference between the men's and the women's scoring wise, you'll just see it's just generally because of the increased time on ground that you will see the disposals is just generally up. It's not necessarily the marks and the tackles. Obviously, the marks is going to generally be up by 1 or 2, and the tackles is generally up by 1 across the ground. But it's not generally that impactful as compared to the 5, 6, 7+ disposals that a lot of people get on top of all these goals. Like you'll see most times someone in the men's go 30, 35 touches at least, which Blackburn did only get to 32, so that would be +3 or 4. Edmonds, the ruckman, usually gets somewhere close to 20. There's more than 21 would not be the second highest gatherer on a ground in an AFL game, especially being that the third highest would be 18. It would be 24, 25, and then a 24, 25 as well, and another person probably getting 24, 25 that you'd see on average. There would be the odd game where it would happen, but it would be a weird game where you'd see the lowest not be 4, it would be like 10. And that's what I mean around the board. They just get 5 or 6 more touches, and that contributes to another 10, 15, 20 fantasy points in general for the lowest to the highest. We went through all these girls. Don't really matter terribly much. It just sucks for me that Brown had no cash gen. Should have traded her out when I did, but her role changed and I couldn't foresee that, to be honest with you, especially given my limited knowledge of a lot of the other teams, except for the Sydney Swans. A lot of their girls that aren't that sort of like the stars, I don't really know as much. But anyway, that's something that I need to look into in the off season and get to know. But that pretty much is the video there. Another good tip for me to get that. I believe I was about 9 or so off, 11 off for that game. I think I had West Bulldogs by 17 or 19. But yeah, still getting that tip right was huge and catapulted me up the tipping table to actually still have a chance in the last round, which is really good. But anyway, that is the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.